Hello, Virgo. Thank you for tuning into your general read. For the main part of the read, I'm using the Modern Spellcasters Tarot by Melanie Marquis, illustrated by Scott Murphy. For the supportive oracle cards, I'm going to itch my nose. No, it's going to be Angel's Answers oracle cards by Doreen Virtue and Red the Valentine. That was very random, and it still itches. Great. I just kissed my cat, though, on the top of the head, and I think probably allergic to him, but that's okay. I just won't pet him as much. That's it. All right, so Virgo. These are interesting. All right, you're going to have a progression of energy. I'm getting that. Now, is this going forward? Or is it past? No, forward. All right, so within the next few months, this situation is starting. Well, it depends on you. It could have started within the last month or so. But from whenever it started, this should last 2 to 3 months at least. Maybe 4 in some cases. But it's saying, like, if you're watching this and expecting this to play out within a couple weeks, 2 weeks or whatever, it's not really going to happen that way. This is going to go over a few months. So, for example, if it started at the beginning of December, this might go till February, maybe beginning of March, before this completely plays out. Oh my gosh, my whole skin itches. All right. Now, you're getting involved in this situation, or whenever you did get involved with it, you were very excited. You and whomever else, however that works, everybody was excited about it. This was a good thing. Everybody was happy about it. Started with a bang. Started with a lot of joy. Good time. Okay, so I feel it's coming into play in a very positive manner. Now, what I'm seeing happens next is, like, there's kind of like an open spot in the sense of, like, it starts off quite happy, quite joyous, but I feel like whatever it starts as, it seems to stagnate as. For example, if you start off, I'm going to use like a running reference. Say your goal is to get up to a 10-minute mile, where you can run a mile in 10 minutes. You're starting off at like a walking speed, and it seems to stagnate there, if that makes sense. It's not getting up to speed. It's not getting up to where you expect it to right off the bat. And it seems to be lingering in that jump-off perspective. You know what I mean? Like, you want to get up to that 10-minute mile, yet you're still walking. And you keep walking for like a lot. It's like you stay at that level. It just seems to stagnate there. And I'm getting the environment is the reason why. The next phase, the next part of the situation is not seeming to click in. Whatever's supposed to happen next, the situation is not prepared or ready for it to happen. So even though everybody's happy and ready to go, it's so joyous when it starts off slow, it just seems to stay at that pace. It doesn't seem to go anywhere. Now, that's the environment. The environment is not prepared. Either it's not prepared or something didn't fall into place. Something along the line is not prepared. Either it's, if it's not directly what you're dealing with, it's something a little farther down the chain or another piece of the system, whatever it is, because it's not kicking up into gear like it should be. And you're left over here with the Two of Wands, kind of like, I feel like you're very invested in this situation, and you're very excited about where it's going. I do feel like it's frustrating that it's not progressing. And I feel like you're getting kind of used to the level that it's at. And I feel like you're recognizing that you're getting kind of comfortable with it, and that that's not going to work for you. Like, when it starts going faster, that's going to be uncomfortable for you, and you're knowing that. You're ready for it. You keep anticipating it going faster or getting up to the next level, and it just never seems to happen. And you're kind of questioning, like, why is it not going to the next level? Why are we not progressing? because I'm not even getting you're not even getting communication on why. It just is what it is at this point. Nobody seems to have an answer on why, or at least they're not telling it to you, is what I'm getting. And you're just kind of like, we really should go to the next level. Why are we not going to the next level? I'm getting what happens next is definitely a shock. I mean, it's the Tower card, which is a shock nonetheless. Typically, the Tower card is a card where things are broken down, they're destroyed, but they leave you a clean slate to build from. Another spot, it's like starting off anew, but with a stronger foundation. It's not comfortable, it's not fun, but it's something that you can't avoid. It's a shock nonetheless. Now, this happens. My first impression of what happens here is like you're going from a walk to the 10-minute mile speed. Like you're at a full run. From a walk to a full run, but to like that 10-minute mile. Like I figure that's kind of like a good analogy there, because it's like you're just walking and walking and walking, then you're jumping right into a full speed run. I feel like this is kind of like, it's like you have all these things in front of you all at once, and you're feeling overwhelmed. Because this is not how this was supposed to go. It's almost like all the water built up behind the dam, and you didn't even realize there was a dam. And then the dam let loose, and you have to deal with all this stuff at once. It's like feast or famine here. And I'm getting, this is happening. It's a shock that this is happening. You have all this happening all at once. And I feel like you have all these things to balance. You have all these things to take care of. A lot's going on at once. I'm getting like you're feeling a lot of pressure. You're feeling like you can't seem to get your feet under you. Like it knocked you down. Like this rush knocked you over, and you're having a hard time getting your footing. You're having a hard time just getting your footing to stand up, let alone start running, because it just blew you out of the water. The environment we have here, I'm getting the Nine of Wands. I'm getting that you're not the only one that's like blown out of the water, let's put it that way. Because when this tower hit, nobody seemed to be expecting it to happen. And you have all these things you're overwhelmed with, you're trying to keep up with, you're just kind of like, you're not sure what you're looking at, what's really happening. You don't know left from right in this situation. It just blew you away. And I feel like the biggest problem is to like, you're not even sure how to prioritize. You're not sure what needs to be done first. Like, I'm getting one of those feelings. Like, it's all dumped at once, and it's so much that you're not even sure what needs to be done to make sure things keep moving. Like, do you have to do a little bit of each? Do you have to do one before another? Like, what has to happen to keep the situation moving? I'm getting you completely blown out of the water, completely overwhelmed. And I'm getting the people around you are also, like, they're not sure what to do. And they're constantly changing direction on what needs to be done first. Things like that seem to be happening. And I just feel like it's getting worse. It's not fun. Now, this period, this takes a few weeks to really start to take shape. Because I feel like the shock happens first. Because it's all like poof. And I feel like it takes a couple weeks for people to get an idea about what needs to be done at what time. I feel like previous ways of doing things are outdated due to the flow, the influx all at once. It's just not working. So people have to reevaluate, reassess. It takes a few weeks for this to get back on track. And the advice they're giving here is like, just don't stop. Just don't end up just falling apart and just not knowing what to do, and just kind of like, because I feel like some of you have a danger of like, you have all these things, so you pick one and you just do that, and you pick the next and you just do that. And I'm feeling like they're saying, if that's what you do, that could work. But I feel like don't stop means don't stop on anything. Like, make sure you keep all these plates spinning. I feel like that's what the problem here might be. Like, if you end up with 7 different things you have to handle all at once and it's too much, they're saying the best is to divide your time in between each best you can, or at least try to keep in line with as many of them as possible. Because if you do that, you can like bring them up to par, and it'll work for you a lot better. If you're told you have to center on one spot, do that mostly, but still like flash over to the others to make sure they stay up a little bit, just so you stay in line with what you're doing with them, so you can keep your eye on them as best you can. It seems like that's what the don't stop is saying. Like, don't let all these plates fall. Try to keep in line with as many as possible. If you have to center on one mostly, then center on that mostly, but try to touch base with the others a little bit, just to keep yourself used to how to do them, how to keep in line with them, where they are, because I feel like that's a big key here. Is that what we're saying? Because like, don't stop by itself, that sounds quite self-explanatory, but I'm getting like, if you have more than one responsibility, try to keep as many of them going. Try to stay like touch point, like even if you're just like going through and doing one at a time, or just keeping an eye on where they are. If that's all you're doing is keeping an eye on where they are, at least do that, so you keep in line with knowing how far they are behind, or whatever is actually there. For example, if there's 5 different columns, just make sure you know how much is in each column, I guess. It seems like it's really like, I'm just looking at it from this perspective, and I'm not connected with actually what's happening, probably because it's a general read, but I'm getting that like that kind of like a pressure, like, oh my god, how am I supposed to keep up with this? That's how I'm feeling. So I'm thinking that must be the energy, like what you're feeling here when this happens. And I'm getting, if you just know where each spot is, it's kind of frantic is what I'm feeling too. Let me go a little slower. So if you have 5 different things, like one is shipping, I don't know, one is reports, one is phone calls, one is something else. Like, just do those 3, because this is too complicated for me. So if you have to stay on shipping mostly, that's fine. Just make sure you keep an eye on reports and phone calls too, to make sure you know where they are. Like, if you have to center on shipping, don't just ignore the other 2. At least know where they are, even if you're not going to do anything with them. Like, just check over what's going on there with reports. Check over what's going on with phone calls. And then if there's 2 other things, like, try to keep yourself in line with those 2, whatever they may be. I don't know what they would be, but, you know, I just feel like it's really overwhelming like that. Because, like, I'm even just, like, I keep thinking, like, there's 5 things for some reason. And I'm just like, well, I'm going to have to I can hold on to the 3, and then I don't know what to tell you about the other 2. That's kind of how I feel about it. But they're saying if you could keep those 3, yes, but still try to pull those last 2 in as well. Whatever they might be, whether it's like keeping an eye on how people are doing morale-wise, and I don't know, keeping in touch with management, whatever it is, try to keep all 5. Like, if you're holding to 3, you're just like, well, I can handle these 3. Still try to touch base on these other 2, just here and there where you can. It'll work out for you in the long run. Because there will become a time where you're up to speed and it won't feel as overwhelming. It's just the way it pushed in the way it did is why it's so overwhelming. Alright, now, again, the other side, whoever you're dealing with, the environment itself, like, I feel like people are freaking out, like, they don't know what to do. They're having to reevaluate, reassess constantly. They're constantly changing direction. That's another reason why you want to keep your hand in every column, whatever you want to call them. It feels really overwhelming to me, I'll be honest with you. Because I feel like if you do that, you keep your hand in each column. I don't know why I'm calling them columns. I know that's strange. Each bucket, maybe. In the end, it's going to balance out, because I get that that's what's with the High Priestess. Especially if she has the dark pillar, the light pillar. I'm getting, like, the dark pillar is you trying to keep up with everything. And the payoff is, if you put yourself through that stress when it's happening, the payoff will be, it won't be so manic when you have to change directions, because you'll still have an idea about what you're looking at. It'll give you a better footing than not knowing at all. I'm not saying you're going to love it, but you're still going to have a better footing to keep yourself going, to make it easier on yourself. I feel like you can also be like a reference for others if you're able to do this, because I feel you staying in line with all of these things best you can, it'll just get easier and easier for you as you keep going week by week, especially when they say it's going to go over a few months at least, because I feel like what this is saying is like it's going to take a few months before this is really something that you're comfortable with and ready to go without feeling stressed to the point that you are when this tower hits. I don't know if that's it, because I feel like if you keep your hand in all the pots, it won't be that bad. You'll be okay in the long run. You won't like it, I understand that, but like in the long run, it'll be easier for you. Okay. Anything else here? Nope. They're. I feel like I have to step away from this energy myself because it feels like when this tower hits, it's just like it's almost like you're like in a stock room and like somebody pulls over a shelf on you with all these boxes and you have to dig yourself out from all these boxes. You have to get the shelf back up there, find out where these stupid boxes go, figure out how to get them back up on that high part. Like, it's just a nightmare. It's a nightmare. But you will do it. And you won't get killed by the boxes, I promise. Although you're going to think, how did I not get killed by these boxes, is what I'm going to... That's how I would view it. You're going to be okay. It's just keeping your hand in all the pots. I feel like that's the best way to do it. You're not going to like it, but long run, you will succeed a lot easier. It'll feel a lot better to you. And I feel like when these changes, especially when these changes, because I feel like reevaluate, reassess keeps going on here, when they keep changing direction on you, you'll have a better idea of where things are, and you're still not going to like it, but you'll be like, well, at least I know where that is. I know what I'll do. Just keep your hand in all the pots. You'll be okay. You won't like it, but you'll be okay. Good? Good. They're telling me I really need to shut it down, so I'm going to. Thank you for watching. Of course, if you'd like a reading from me, shoot me an email at jamesforastral@gmail.com. James, the number 4, astral@gmail.com. Thank you.